The night was shrouded in an eerie silence, broken only by the distant wail of sirens. Thick fog clung to the streets, turning the world into a monochromatic nightmare. Sarah had always been cautious when walking alone at night, but tonight she had no choice. She had to get to her sister's apartment, no matter how uneasy it made her feel. As she hurried down the dimly lit street, the sirens grew louder, their mournful cries echoing through the fog. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, and she quickened her pace, her footsteps echoing in the empty streets. Her sister had called in a panic, claiming something was terribly wrong, but the call had been abruptly cut off before she could explain further. Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket, startling her. She pulled it out, hoping it was her sister. Instead, it was a message from an unknown number, a message that sent shivers down her spine. "Turn back now, Sarah. It's not safe." Fear gnawed at her, but she couldn't abandon her sister. She continued on, her breath misting in the cold air. The apartment building was just a few blocks away now, and she could see its faint outline through the fog. The sirens had grown deafening, and Sarah's pulse raced. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching her. Every shadow seemed to hide a lurking menace, and every alley felt like a trap. Finally, she reached her sister's apartment building and rushed inside, taking the stairs two at a time. Her sister lived on the 5th floor, and as she ascended, the wailing sirens seemed to follow her, growing louder with each step. She reached the 5th floor, the hallway was dimly lit, and an unsettling silence hung in the air. She approached her sister's apartment cautiously, her heart pounding. The door was ajar, and a strange, metallic smell wafted from within. She pushed the door open slowly and was met with a scene of pure horror. The apartment was in shambles, furniture overturned, and blood smeared on the walls. Her sister's lifeless body lay on the floor, eyes wide with terror. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes, and she staggered back, her mind racing. What could have possibly happened here? And why had her sister called for her in the first place? Suddenly, the sirens reached a deafening crescendo, drowning out all other sounds. Sarah clutched her ears in agony, collapsing to her knees. The noise was unbearable, a cacophony of pain and terror that threatened to shatter her sanity. Through the torment of the sirens, she heard a whispered voice, sinister and cold, as if it emanated from the very walls themselves. "You should have turned back, Sarah. Now, it's too late." Desperation overcame her, and she crawled towards her sister's lifeless form, hoping for some sign of life. But it was futile. Her sister was gone, and Sarah was trapped in this nightmare. The sirens continued to blare, the world around her distorting and shifting in surreal ways. Sarah was trapped in a never-ending nightmare, with no way out. The horror of that night, the sirens, and the unknown evil that had befallen her sister would haunt her for the rest of her life. In the end, Sarah learned a cruel lesson. Sometimes the warnings are all too real, and the sirens that beckon in the night are harbingers of unimaginable